This right here is one of five ever legendary hubless motorcycles. And it's very unique. Everything about this thing is a story, and I am so pumped. I'm honored that I get to test drive this thing and tell you guys all about it right now. So at the top of the bike builder chain, of course, you got me and me and Craig, of course. You got Jesse James and Paul Sr. and then named with all those top guys is always Billy Lane. Billy Lane is really known for his hubless motorcycles. And what I mean by that is there's no hub. Well, let's go look at a bike with a hub. This right here is the hub. Is what connects the tire to an axle that connects it to the actual, to the forks. Now to do a hubless, it takes a lot of engineering, which we'll get into that. This is one of 5 bikes that he built, and apparently he's only gonna build maybe one more. So at this point, they're done. And this bike was built in 2006, I believe. Actually, I know someone who can tell us a little more about it. There he is right there. There's the expert. There's the guy who can tell us a little more about this bike.
Hey, what's up, Sean?
Hey, no, Billy.
Good, how are you?
1 of 5, you said?
1 of 5. This is the King of New York. I did it 2005, 2006, something like that. So it's almost 20 years old. And I built it for a guy who's really tall, like you. So it fit you perfect if you're gonna take it for a spin.
Yeah, I'm gonna take it for a spin. The more you look at this bike, the more you realize how incredible it is. And what I'm realizing is this bike is like the poetry of motorcycles, because every little piece has its own story about it.
Yeah.
Like very little is just off the shelf parts.
Yeah.
Including like the oil tank. You never see anything like that on a bike,
Yeah, I handmade everything. When you do a bike on this level, I've only done 5 of them. So, you kind of have to pour it all into it. You can't just slap something together and pull a bunch of parts off the shelf. So I used a, S&S engine just because we wanted a vintage engine, but we didn't want it leaking all over the place. The frame is handmade. I made the fender. I made the gas tank, as a Palco Springer. I made the handlebars. I obviously did the back wheel and all that stuff. The foot controls are connecting rods from inside a Harley-Davidson engine. They're connecting rods that I twisted up, kind of tribute to Indy and Larry with the twisting. But everything on it's handmade.
What type of engine were that from? Like, we're talking like a panhead or a...
Yeah, generator shovel head, 66
okay.
to 69. Okay. Harley-Davidson shovel head. I think it's 93 or 96 inch stroker. They run great. Really don't give you any problems. Don't leak like the originals do.
Now, I noticed these look like the end of shells.
Yeah.
You always do that on your bikes, or that was unique to this bike?
Yeah, I own the patents to these. I was doing this in the early 90s. I couldn't buy the stuff I wanted, so I started making everything, and that's how I really started my business, was by saying, give me $100 and I'll come back next Thursday, bike night, with a set of foot pegs for you.
A lot of people maybe they don't know this about you, but how many other bike builders can say that they're actual engineers?
I've met a lot of guys over the years who were fans of mine from watching me on TV and became engineers because they learned that I was, and some of them, maybe are doing bikes or something. I don't know of anybody who's, kind of on the pro level.
At the high level,
doing it. I had to make my living as a mechanic, so I got mechanically inclined, but design and the way things look and visuals is really my passion. It's what I'm good at. I think it's my gift.
Now, where'd you get the inspiration from this tank? It's a very unique looking tank.
You remember the coffin tanks from the 60s and 70s?
Yeah.
It was shaped like a coffin with the sharp edges.
All hard edges, right.
But at the same time, not wanting morbidity of a coffin or to just repeat what somebody's already done a million times. I kind of stole the paint and the lines a little bit too from the Batmobile.
Yeah, okay, I see that.
A guy named Craig Fraser painted this. I say, hey, this is my concept, this is my idea, you do what you do with it. And then I step away and step back, and I love the surprise of it arriving.
Yeah, because you don't want to give an artist too many instructions.
Right.
Because you kind of like snuff their creativity.
Yeah.
And then they make, you want to kind of give them a little bit of room. Like, hey, here's some guidelines, but here's a budget. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And make something awesome, and then they normally come up with something pretty good. If you guys notice, we're missing something down here. Where's the battery at?
The battery's in the basement. It's underneath the transmission.
Holy cow, yeah.
Yeah.
Now, when you're building a bike like this, do you plan the whole thing out? Or do you kind of like engine and then like, oh shoot, we gotta put a battery, let's find a spot, you know what I mean? Or was it all planned out? You knew from day one the battery was going down here.
No, I don't plan at all. That's the thing is I just start working.
Mm-hmm.
And
then you figure it out as you go.
I just kind of go as the flow. I'll start working on something, I'll step back and say, I love it, I don't like these lines. I've thrown more gas tanks away than you could ever imagine. I've thrown, gas tanks I had a week's worth of work in, looked at it, It's a mess. I don't think I can fix it. Throw it in the garbage.
We'll be digging in the garbage soon. Now the bottle opener.
Yeah.
That's always on your bike, and the wings.
Yeah.
That's a Billy Lane.
Yeah,
Choppers Inc.
I mean, the bike kind of looks like
Trademark.
it's taken off, even standing still, and the wings are kind of part of that. They kind of come from a hood emblem. A Hudson Terraplane had a set of kind of flaring wings
I was
on
thinking
it.
like a Rolls Royce, like the girl.
Yeah, I've used a Cadillac lady. I've used Rolls Royce Flying Goddess.
Every little piece of this bike has got a story behind it. Now, when it comes to rideability, chrome grips, does that work out pretty well when you're wearing gloves?
Yeah, I mean,
getting sweaty.
Yeah, I've ridden this bike, taken this bike on a 200-mile trip before, and a lot of the bikes I built had these bars and those grips on them. Like the very first biker build-off bike I did on Discovery Channel had these bars that I made with those grips, and I rode it from Florida to North Carolina, and then from North Carolina to Sturgis.
Oh wow!
So, you can really ride them. I mean, it's not the most comfortable thing, but neither is a Springer, neither is a rigid frame. But it's built to be appreciated as much as when the kick stands down as when the kick stands up. This has been on the cover of several magazines, and anywhere you take it, you're going to get a ton of attention.
Now you have a dry clutch in here?
It's dry clutch. Yeah, that's a performance machine part, and so that's why it's sticking right now. As soon as you get out and ride it, it'll clear up. But it's just sticky because it's been sitting for so long.
Yeah, that's not a problem.
Humidity and change of temperature and all that.
So would you say that every one of your Hubless bikes, they're all actually unique in their own? Like none of the Hubless setups are the same?
No, so the very first Hubless one I did, the Psychobilly Cadillac, was way different. It mounted from the other side, had an arm that went inside the wheel. So the second one, the third one, and the fourth one are this same setup. And then the fifth one that I did that's down at my shop is a whole different setup.
You have a jack shaft coming out, and that's how you're able to change the gearing.
It would normally be underdriven if you didn't have the jack shaft, but it gets the chain from the transmission sprocket all the way out here to align with this big sprocket that I machined, and then it also corrects the drive. And then it also drives the rear brake.
If you need big horsepower from stop to go, or big like no horsepower to big right away, chain's the toughest thing. And then obviously shaft is going to be driving the most amount of power.
Yeah.
But would be the most probably reliable.
Yeah.
But also the heaviest.
Yeah.
So this is a 280 back tire?
280, yeah. It's too big for me. I never really liked much bigger than a 240, but I know he wanted a bigger tire. So it's probably a 9-inch rim, I would imagine, 18 by 9.
What do you normally prefer on your bikes?
I like a 200 to 240.
That'd be about that.
Yeah.
Closer to a normal size.
Yeah, 240s.
Harley tire.
So 240 is about 10 inches. 280 is probably about 11 or 12 inches. Like 25 millimeters to an inch, right? Or 255 millimeters to an inch.
Sounds right.
No, 25 millimeters to an inch, yeah.
Let's say you've not been riding it for a long time. What's the sequence to starting this bike up?
It's pretty simple. You turn the fuel on, it's already on over here, and just pull the enrichener up, which is a choke. It's a choke mechanism S&S uses. Usually give it a squirt, and then the key's over here. Reach down and twist the key. It's got like key switch like a car has, a momentary switch, and usually starts right up.
Now everyone in the comment section is wondering what this is for right here. Your stogie?
No. We used to call it the traffic cop. All my bikes would have a little chrome plated ball peen hammer, miniature one, that if somebody cuts you off in traffic, which happens a lot, you just use that hammer to adjust their mirror form. So they can see you better next time.
Right, that's the nice thing to do.
Whenever a bike leaves me, it's on there, and they come back, they're always gone.
Do you think they frame them up and they put them on their desk or something like that?
I don't know. Or somebody steals them when they park it, on the curb somewhere.
And this is the Baker 6-speed?
Yeah, it's Baker 6-speed, foot shift, hand clutch. I've known Burt Baker since he started making the 6-speeds, and I always just try to use the best stuff for people. On a bike on this level, everything kind of has to be done really well.
Right. Now, right now, is the clutch was sticking a little bit, so I got to make sure I'm pointing in the right direction, and then just kind of ride it. It'll clear up, I'm sure.
I would just, so you're going straight down. Once you clutch it and you're braking and stuff, the clutches will free. We've had that happen a lot with dry clutches. When they sit, they stick. And this has been sitting out in the rain more than once,
Is this always so hard to turn?
I don't know, is it stiff? Yeah, it could use some lubrication.
Is that in here, or is that up in here?
I feel like it's up in here.
Oh, you do?
Yeah. Is it stiff?
Yeah, it's stiff and it's stiff down there. Well, but
Yeah.
it's still connected though.
You're not going to ride it far. It probably won't bother you too much.
Yeah, I'm sure it'll be all right. I'll just muscle through it. Well, appreciate you coming by.
Yeah, man. Hey, enjoy riding it.
Yep, yeah, I will.
Don't let anybody stare at you.
And I won't. And if people want to go check out your channel, where do they go?
YouTube, Billy Lane YouTube. Been having a lot of fun on there.
Like in Billy Lane. He's making a lot of videos, doing a lot of cool stuff, still racing. Also, I just picked up one of his bikes, sitting back there. He'll have to tell us all about it later. It'll be another video. All right, I'm gonna take it for a spin.
Cool.
Thanks for stopping by.
Hey, enjoy.
Yep, thank you. If you're anything like me, then you think that road trips and holidays are a great excuse to not shower and not wear deodorant. Then we both need some help from today's sponsor, Mando. Mando was created by a doctor that realized that normal body odor was being misdiagnosed and mistreated. It's a high-performance deodorant that can be applied almost anywhere in your pits, your package, and your feet. Mando is clinically proven to control odor better than a shower with soap alone. 12 hours after a shower, a man's grundle area odor level is a 5 out of 10. How they figured that out, I have no idea. With Mando, that number goes down to 0. Mando is skin safe, baking soda free, cruelty free, vegan, and pH optimized to use anywhere on your body, and paraben free, which no one knows what that means. Mando also has a wide range of aluminum free products available. You can choose from 4 different scents that are all unique: bourbon leather, clover woods, Mount Fuji, and Pro Sports. They even have unscented.
And my favorite scent is bourbon leather because I like the way it smells.
The Mando Starter Pack Bundle is a great deal for new customers. It comes with a full-size stick of deodorant, a cream deodorant tube or a spray deodorant, and 2 free products like wipes or mini body wash. Free US shipping, and just for my followers, they are offering an extra $5 off when you order by clicking in the description below. And enter the code Srkcycles at checkout. That's a deal of over 40% off. Let's get back. I want to ride that chopper. Now, before we do a test drive of this bike, let's do the words of wisdom real quick. Matthew 5:43-44. You have heard that it was said, you shall love your neighbor and hate your enemy. But I say to you, love your enemy and pray for those who persecute you.
All right, so let's get this bike fired up. People say choppers are not fun, and this one's got a sticky clutch right now. So that's going to be really fun. And let's see if we can navigate this without wrecking a bike that is irreplaceable. I'm going to get to a spot where I can just go straight without anything getting in my way, and that is right here. All right, let's fire this thing up. Starts up nice. This bike feels great. It's running good. Now when you have a sticky clutch, what that means is when I put it in gear, it's probably just gonna go like that. So I need to give a little bit of gas. And we'll just ride it. The other fun thing about this bike, and it's unlikely to happen, but if the chain breaks, your brakes break. Now, this is built for a big guy, and it's almost too tall for me because I am reaching to grab those pedals. But what a perfect day to be riding a chopper with no hubs. When you have cool wheels, they only look cool when you're stopped. When you have a hubless wheel, it looks cool all the time. I gotta be honest with you, riding this bike is definitely a bucket list ride for what should be for any motorcycle enthusiast. Because these bikes are so legendary, but for me to do this review properly, I gotta tell you guys how it actually feels. First of all, it's awesome. It feels awesome. If you ever wanted to know what awesome feels like, just ride something like this. Now, Billy said he's put hundreds of miles on these bikes. Don't recall hitting any big bumps, but in the half a mile I just rode, my back's feeling all right. You know, it's an S&S 96 cubic inch engine. I mean, it actually runs really smooth. It sounds great. It's not vibrating very much at idle. I thought that my leg would get in the way of the intake, but it doesn't. Maybe it does, I don't know. All right, so that clutch is unstuck. And it's feeling really good. Now, choppers are not meant to be fast. That big tire is not really for traction on the ground. They're meant to be just to look cool. But this one's not slow. You'd be hard pressed to say this is slow. I mean, it scoots really well. I would guess that 96 cubic inch motor is probably pushing out close to 100 horsepower. Now, I'm not doing a proper bike review if I'm not talking about the comfort of the bike. Let's talk about the different levels of comfort. You know, on one side you have Goldwing. You've got the BMW K1600 GTL. You got these, you know, the Harley Davidson Electroglide. You know, you got these top of the line comfortable bikes. On the other end, you have sport bikes and things that are very uncomfortable. But still, all of these are fun to ride. I'm not bashing anything. I would put this somewhere between the Goldwing and the BMW. Yeah, you could do 700 miles a day on something like this. Why not? Nah, I'm just kidding. It's actually not that bad. I've ridden significantly much more uncomfortable bikes than this. But the way you're sitting, honestly, this is kind of like sitting on a V-Rod. Or actually really similar to the Sportster S, except this is cooler looking. Oh. It started sticking again. Hold up. Nope. There we go. All right, we're back. We fixed it. So here's a question I have to ask to my viewers. What's cooler, the Hubless bike right here or the Srkcycles supercharged bike? Man, they're both cool, but I don't know. That seems like a tough one for me. I'll tell you this is easier to ride than the Srkcycles bike all day long. However, bring those handlebars back to here about 6 inches. Man, this thing's a daily rider. Now, this thing's got the Baker 6-speed on it. I'm probably going about 45 miles an hour. This thing feels like it's geared to do 150. Like, all I needed was the Baker 3-speed, to be honest. But this thing is set up that you can be cruising on the highway. So what Billy was talking about the gear ratio and everything with that big sprocket on the back, yeah, he's right. I mean, of course he's not gonna lie to us. But yeah, this thing does not feel like it's not geared down at all. If anything, it's geared up. I burned my leg. So that exhaust pipe is right there. That's right there. Got me. It got me. So I was thinking about it, and I think this is the only motorcycle I've ever ridden that pretty much the whole thing, except for the engine and gearbox, have been built by one guy. He built the frame, he built the tank, he built the seat, he built the rear wheel, he built that whole thing. This is all built by Billy Lane. To have the ability to put together an entire bike, all those different aspects, and then to be able to ride it and enjoy it as if it was a production bike. Because think about it. You know how much money it costs a manufacturer to design and build a motorcycle? It's very expensive. That's why they have to build thousands of them to make their money back. And that's why once it's built and designed, they don't change it very much. They just keep it, they keep it the way it is, because it costs them a lot of money to design it. Which is why bikes like this are so rare and so incredibly valuable. So the other question I had was, because you have so much hardware on the left down here, where the drive system is, does the bike feel like it wants to lay over to the left? And the answer is no. You may have looked at a bike like this and be like, man, what does it feel like to ride it? If I didn't know that it was a Hubless bike, I wouldn't know it from riding it. Only you people know it's a Hubless bike because it looks so awesome. Now, I don't know what it is, whether it's the tire or something, but something is absorbing a lot of the bump. Like right here, I'm hitting normal bumps. I don't feel any of it in my butt or in my back. You know, sometimes you ride a hardtail and it's just awful. Like you run over a penny and it like, you feel it in your C4 vertebrae. But this, I'm hitting decent sized little bumps, and I don't know why, but the bike is absorbing it pretty well. I know what you're asking. You're like, hey Sean, how does it handle? It handles like a chopper, but it can take, I can turn it. Like I can go different directions. I can turn left, I can turn right. Some choppers, you can't even do that. So you might be wondering like, hey, why didn't you do a 0 to 60? Why didn't you do a highway run? Why didn't you really see what that bike's got? That's not my bike. It's not my bike. It's just very valuable. It's a very valuable bike. I don't want to break it. I don't want to mess it up. Oh, I got a rule. I don't go super fast on custom built bikes. It's kept me alive so far. Not that it couldn't do it. Billy, he does it all. That's all it's his thing. He goes super fast on these bikes. Guys, that wraps it up. We'll see you next time. Check this next video right here. Go check out Billy Lane's YouTube channel. He's got a lot of cool stuff on there. We'll see you next time. And remember, it's not what you're riding, but where you're going.